And Gartner have recently said that in 2017 that content marketing was going to be at the peak of the hype cycle. So is that just hype from Gartner, or is how much reality is in that statement?
Well, I think if you extend and play that movie out, I think the next phase of the Gartner cycle is the loop of disillusionment. Yes. And I don't think content is going to actually to be that. I think content is a really exciting area, and it's an area that allows organisations to engage with a market, with customers, with elements of value. So to me, content strategies are evolving just as our customers are evolving. The way our customers buy are now becoming more sophisticated. There's more opportunities for them to extend their research into different channels. And to me, content is changing as a result of that. If you think of how our customers engage with content today versus even 5 years ago. So there's opportunities around smart devices, smartphones. There's now a need for marketers to understand what content needs to be to basically be consumed in that type of model. Yep. We really have around 30 to 40 seconds to create and spark a piece of interest with a customer so that they read on. I mean, Jody just alluded to that. Yep. So to me, the reason content is going to continue to be interesting and exciting is because of that change. And we've seen now video, we've seen now the prevalence of infographics, we've seen a lot sort of snappier content pieces that are really interesting that can be consumed in any type of device and very quickly as well. So to me, I think it's a valid strategy that's going to be, you know, the cornerstone for marketing capability going forward.
Yeah. I do agree with that, I think, but there is, Gartner does have a bit of a point. There has been a lot of hype around content, and I think many companies have gone into this going, oh, we're going to create content and it's going to be great. I'm going to push it out through all of our channels. Everyone's going to engage with us, and this is going to be our new way of kind of really reaching our customers. And it's not as simple as that. And I wonder if this kind of hype cycle that we're talking about is the understanding now that you can't just create content. There has to be a reason, a strategy, an engagement plan behind it. It has to be really valuable content. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost in the just inordinate amount of content that's out there these days. I mean, every day, you think how much content we get every day now, and how many pieces do you truly look at? 2, 3, max? Yeah. And those are the companies that have really invested in understanding the audience, working out the personas, creating really valuable content that stands out within that 20 seconds that you've got to actually engage somebody. And it's not as simple as it seems. So I do think that there is a hype that has happened. I think there will be a bit of disillusionment for the companies that have gone, oh, we're going to invest in this, but they haven't done it with a strategy or an end game in mind. And then I think the curve's going to go back up again as we kind of pull back and go, right, we have to now have a content strategy. We have to be very clear about the type of content we're producing and why, and we're very clear about what we want our content to do for us and measurability sitting underneath it.
Yes.
And then we'll start to see the curve go back up again as companies are actually kind of doing it properly.
And I think what's creating relevance though for content as well is, I think you alluded to it, Andrew, and that is the technology platforms around marketing automation. Yeah. So now that we can actually understand what customers are engaging with, how much time they're spending on our content, and then we can map that across the customer journey. Yeah. And that's really exciting from our perspective, because then we can start to predict where our customers are on the sales process, and then we can start to feed the right content at the right time. Yeah. So to me, that's the exciting part here, is not what we've been doing, but what the opportunity is in moving forward.
And of course, to get the basics right, I subscribe to what a competitor of Gartner says, a B2B research entity called Cirrus Decisions. Yes. They'll say, typical geographically distributed matrix structured organisation will spend, say, $1 million on content generation, just use that number. Very quickly, a third of that is lost. In other words, it's scattered around the organisation on one box drives, on intern laptops. It's not accessible to the marketers and to the sales organisation. Another third has never been approved or validated or signed off, or is out of date and therefore shouldn't be used, shouldn't be out in the public domain. And then you're left with a third.
Yes.
So just getting those basics right, understanding where your content is, what assets are contributing, what assets need to be updated, recycled, retired, that for many organisations is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And what's going to be hero content? I think
Yes.
that's a really, really important question here. If you just, if in a year you just do 3 or 4 pieces of content that are your absolute hero pieces of content that you're going to invest in,
Yes.
high value, very clearly kind of delivering to the customer. I just think that's such an important part of this process. And what I'm really excited about with content is, we've been down this path of talking about it has to be short and snappy, and people have to be able to consume it now within 30 seconds, and that's always been the kind of trend that we're talking about with content. But we're now seeing that change completely. So
Yes.
you've got companies like Jim Beam. They did a half an hour movie content. And it's marketing. And something like ridiculous, I think it was 80% of people watched the full 30 minutes. I mean, when were we ever in an age where someone watched a 30-minute ad?
Yes.
Never. But that's the pure power of content, when you're really kind of putting something in front of someone that's valuable or interesting or engaging or funny or whatever it may be. And that's hero content.
Yes.
Yeah, with a bit of a budget.
With a bit of budget.
Of course.
That
Budget helps.
Budget helps, of course. I think another key word in here is personalisation. So when we're talking about relevant content, contextual content, I think as we're moving forward this year and next year, B2B marketers are going to be looking more at personalisation. And personalisation is actually enabled by automation, funnily enough. Even though we used to think about automation as being mass marketing, it's actually the way that we can actually start to personalise content and streams and communications.